Hey guys, how's it going? And today we have a Jean Bart replay sent to me by Rolkatsuki. Now this is going to be a rather interesting game, and it's not because we're going to see a lot of the map. In fact, if you look ahead of the ship at this corner, that's where we're going to be most of the game. But the movement isn't exactly the mainstay of this match. The mainstay is going to be the fact that Rolkatsuki is going to hold this flank against most of the enemy team's tier 9s, which is top tier in this battle, surprisingly, while the rest of their team slowly takes A. And I wanted to specify that because they're not going to steamroll over there. So Rolkatsuki is going to have to hold out for a very long time with less than optimal conditions. So a couple shots across the map bounced off the enemy Missouri. No damage there. There's a Yugumo out in the smoke up here. Torpedoes coming in. This Cleveland's trying to get the hell out of Dodge. And there's a Jutland over there doing Jutland stuff. Hello Cleveland, how's it going? A little bit of rubbing there. Let's see, Helena moving up next to us. But can we find this Yugumo? He's going to be a threat. The Jean Bart does not really like torpedoes. We gotta get him before his allies can move in though. Because once they move in, that Jutland is not going to want to face spot him, and it looks like the rune's actually gotten pretty close to the cap. Now the rune shouldn't be a big problem for the Jean Bart. It will if the rune starts to spam long range HE, because all French battleships eat that like it's their job, and wow, that Helena just ate some citadels like it was its job. I suppose maybe he'll find out what broadsides are like. But let's see, rune 1 penetration for 4,000 damage. That's not bad, but the dispersion could have been a lot better. RNGesus did not exactly favor Rolkatsuki there. Another shot out. The rune's angled. He's going to start turning back, and 2 pens. Well, that's 1 better than last time. Still 2 ricochets, and here comes another reload. You can see Rolkatsuki had activated the reload booster that this ship comes with, and gets 2 penetrations for 2,000 damage. Well, that's a bit odd wargaming. But yeah, Helena's gone. Rolkatsuki, you can see, is reversing to try to get out of this rune's firing arc a little bit. But the reload booster that this ship comes equipped with is now down. There's a decent hit. It's still not a citadel, but we'll take it. So that's kind of the specialty of the Jean Bart. It's like a Richelieu, but it's 1 tier higher. It's got the speed boost and heal that the Richelieu has, and it also has a reload booster. Now Rolkatsuki just fired Dark on that Prince Eugen, and surprisingly that was all over pens. I think they hit a little bit high. If they had hit any lower, I think that Prince Eugen's broadside would have been pretty punished by those shells. But Rolkatsuki right now can fire almost over this ledge Dark, but the Yugumo did come out on the other side of the map, it seems, and Rolkatsuki is getting spotted by it again. But where's that rune? He should be long range spamming. Oh, he's over there now. So he's in a bad spot to spam, and Rolkatsuki fired a bit early, lobbing all 8 shells that this ship can fire into the rock in front of them. And the Yugumo has just been spotted. There's torpedoes in the water. It doesn't look like Rolkatsuki's quite noticed them yet. A little focused on these 2 cruisers downrange. They are a threat. They are slowly whittling Rolkatsuki down. You can see Rolkatsuki's lining up on this Prince Eugen again. Ooh, there's the torpedoes. Again, another very lackluster hit on that Prince Eugen. RNGesus is definitely not favoring the Jean Bart today. So, since we're not getting any good hits against those cruisers, let's bring the guns around and aim at that Yugumo. And the engines are out. He just dodged all of the Jutland's torpedoes at close range. Rolkatsuki shots out. He goes broadside and takes almost 5,000 damage from Rolkatsuki, turning the tide in that little destroyer battle over there. Now all the Jutland has to do is gun him down. You can see all the secondaries from Rolkatsuki's Jean Bart are going in on that Yugumo, but they're not doing a ton. And one more shot. Will he catch the Yugumo? Looks good. Yes. Okay, so the Yugumo's down. The Jutland looks like he's going to avoid the torpedoes. And so now we have the destroyer advantage on this side. But look at the enemy team. They're pushing in Gneisenau, which does have torpedoes and could very well torpedo run Rolkatsuki's Jean Bart, because it could bounce these guns from the front. There's also a Frederick de Grosse right behind that Gneisenau that could push in and eat Rolkatsuki alive with secondaries. And to top it all off, there's a cyclone, so anything over 8 kilometers is not going to be spotted very soon, which isn't going to help Rolkatsuki in these little fights. Gneisenau doesn't notice that the Jean Bart's over here and gets dunked on for it. 15,000 right off the side of that battleship before he can even react. The reload booster has been activated. The Gneisenau kinda turned in. It seems like he's shifted his focus, but takes another big hit for it. Another 8,000 of health disappearing. I'm tripping over my words here. There's a Bismarck crossfiring from the sea cap. But right now it's just Rolkatsuki fighting this Gneisenau with a Hipper and a Jutland off to the side. And there goes the Hipper. You can see some Jutland's torpedoes coming in. Doesn't look like they're going to hit. Oh no, they did. Look at that. So the Gneisenau got tagged by one of the Jutland's torpedoes. The Frederick de Grosse did not push in. That's pretty lucky. And he's currently fleeing, but the storm will hide him very soon, as Rolkatsuki does another 7k to him. And looks like that pester of a Prince Eugen is back for round 2. He's pushing into the cap. There's a Missouri at long range who will be hit pretty soon. Rolkatsuki takes a shot at that nice juicy broadside and gets 3 penetrations for it, so that should be at least 10,000 damage if it all applies. Oh yeah, look at that. He took a little bit. But this Prince Eugen will be a problem. He's got 6 torpedoes per side, 2 launchers, and he needs to go down before he can use them. You can see the heal just got activated on Rolkatsuki. The Prince Eugen only took 4 over penetrations for not a lot of damage. At least the secondary set him on fire. Oh, look at that. It looks like the Prince Eugen launched at least 1 set of torpedoes a bit early. So come on, angle a little bit more. Let's make these not over-penetrate. Rolkatsuki aims high above the armor belt and over-penetrates 4 shells again. And there's the other set of the Prince Eugen's torpedoes. Rolkatsuki's speed boost, I like to call it, has help them evade those torpedoes, as the Prince Eugen didn't exactly account for the acceleration that the Jean Bart can do backwards. Now, they're still broadside, and yeah, not entirely sure how 1 penetration and 4 over penetrations can sink a ship on 16 health. 16,000 health, I should say. But it seems like Wargaming's shot tracking wasn't exactly up to par this game. Now there is something capping, we don't really know what it is. Oh, in fact it just appeared on the map. It looks like it's that Frederick de Grosse. But as you can see, the enemy tier 9s are slowly starting to push in. There's a Musashi, who's broadside. I guess they weren't really expecting the enemy battleship to get out of there. But they only take 9,000 damage. That could have been a couple good citadels. The Frederick is pushing in. That's scary because, like I said, he's got not torpedoes. He's got secondaries that will eat this ship alive. And what do we got behind him? It looks like the Missouri has chased him in. So there's 3 tier 9 battleships in front of Rolkatsuki right now. One of them is a major threat in a de Grosse that is actually turning sideways and offering a very juicy broadside for a 14,000 damage hit. And Rolkatsuki's all alone. This Jutland's providing a bit of help, but it's mostly just a distraction at this point. And things are going to get pretty bad. Rolkatsuki really needs to hold out and do as much damage to these guys as they can until the friendly team can push around the other side of the map. You can see the game's about even, but we do have a destroyer advantage, and there's a nice hit. One gun disabled on that Frederick and 16,000 damage done. So it looks like the enemy team, or the friendly team, are trying to force their way around the edge of the other side of the map, which is about time. It took them all game to do it. The Frederick has finally learned to angle. Is Rolkatsuki going to shoot his bow? Nope. They spotted the broadside Missouri. Is that a little bit far forward for those shots? Yeah, a little bit. But still, 18,000 damage is nothing to laugh at. High caliber and Confederate awards going off with that shot. But this Frederick is still being a pain. And it's actually the Missouri secondaries that are showering over here. The Frederick, is he not secondary build, or is he just not angled enough? There he goes. He wasn't angled enough to get in a lot of secondary batteries this way. But you can see Rolkatsuki has stopped reversing, sinking a large hit into that Frederick's side. That Frederick should be going down here, and Rolkatsuki is charging the Missouri. There's a Musashi right behind that. There's a rune right behind Rolkatsuki, which is probably why they decided to start going after the Missouri. You can see Rolkatsuki aim for the turrets and knock one out temporarily, so he won't be able to use that against the Bismarck. And you can see the Missouri is actually going for a ram here, which is surprising because that's a waste of his health. Musashi, not angled very well, takes 3 citadels right through the cheek. Missouri trying to ram, you can see he's still turning. Rolkatsuki dodges it extremely nicely. Come on, 2 more citadels on the Musashi, that's not going to be enough. The secondaries are tearing the Jean Bart apart. There's shells coming in from all sides, and the Musashi just penetrates through the front, sinking Rolkatsuki after a quite impressive blaze of glory. So, it wasn't a very mobile battle, but Rolkatsuki has actually held out long enough for the allies to come around the back of the map, push the enemy team out of their spawn, and has left these remaining ships on such low health pools that they're not going to be able to recover, and they're not going to be able to fend off the rest of the friendly team unless the friendly team are complete potatoes, which they really aren't. And basically Rolkatsuki has enabled their team to win this game just by holding that point and shooting at basically everything that came in front of them, whether it be the destroyer, the cruisers, or the battleships that just kind of rolled into the cap and decided to go broadside. So yeah, the Bismarck might have sank, who, for the most of the game, if you watch the mini-map, he was providing cross shots from the backside of C. It wasn't an amazing spot, but it was actually pretty useful for where Rolkatsuki was holding the point, so he was basically doing the same thing over there. So that poor Missouri should not be living too long. That Musashi just got ultimately devastated by Rolkatsuki's shells. And what's left over there? The New Orleans? I don't think he was over here for most of the battle. I think he was on the other side. So that shows you how far the friendly team actually pushed the enemy ships around while Rolkatsuki held on to that corner, showing us why position plays such a major part in the game, where if you get the strategic points locked down, you can basically force this enemy team, or any enemy team, to move to your bidding and have to push into you. Which, in this case, involved doing a ton of damage and just farming the hell out of the enemy team as they tried to push past Rolkatsuki's premium Tier 9 battleship, the Jean Bart. But, for 273,000 damage and a Confederate and high caliber award, I don't think Rolkatsuki's too upset about their ship being sunk in lieu of the victory that their team accomplished. And I'm sure the 3,000 base experience was nothing to laugh at either. Rolkatsuki did a very good job holding that corner. Like I said, they didn't move too far, but they really didn't have to. They could sit there and let the enemy team push into them. Obviously the enemy team didn't have to push in broadside, but that's always nice. And they could have actually used their torpedoes, which I guess the Prince Eugen tried to, but he didn't exactly do it in a way that would sink the Jean Bart. He could have easily pushed up next to Rolkatsuki, got around Rolkatsuki's side, dumped all 6 of those torpedo tubes right into the side of Rolkatsuki's Jean Bart, and Rolkatsuki would have gone down a lot earlier in this match, and the match probably would have looked a lot differently. So, very, very good job to Rolkatsuki here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and have a good one. I'll see you next time.